a leaflet reaction to catch Jordan.
This one's by Cash Jordan, and Cubans launch island-wide... Wait, what? Is this happening? Island-wide rebellion, and Trump tells the communists you're finished. Wait,
oh,
real?
interesting. Finally, things are moving on Cuba.
Carrier.
One day we will just wake up and see like the U.S. Army like capturing the people from Cuba regime
is moving into the Caribbean among more U.S.
Dude, chat, isn't that fucking huge aura? Like, isn't that just aura? Just like the big fucking carrier in the front, like flanked. It's like
a lot
the
of
boss
aura.
showing up with his lackeys.
We are now learning a new U.S. aircraft carrier is
it's like so badass, you know.
Moving into the Caribbean among more U.S. pressure against the Cuban government.
So, a massive U.S. armada is now within striking distance of Havana. And Cuba's former dictator has just been hit with U.S. criminal charges, which is the same thing that happened to Venezuela's former dictator before he woke up one morning in a New York.
Oh man, I just hope like it doesn't take as long as it took to Maduro. Did you guys saw how many months that she took? Like, I mean, I don't actually remember, but I remember like thinking that every single day I wanted to see that guy get arrested, and it never happened, and never happened, and never happened, and suddenly, boom, it happened. But it took a lot of time, so much time. Oh God, I hope that it doesn't take as long as it took for Maduro to Cuba. After all, Cuba is like impoverishing and killing people passively for 70 years. 7 years. Almost. Around that. Okay? So, it's time. It's fucking time.
City jail. And when you add to all this statements by U.S. officials that Cuba's communists are out of time, it's not hard to guess.
But the Cuban people support communists, so they deserve it? Eminency. Look. I understand what you're saying, okay? But you gotta consider, the people there, they live in a fucking island. They don't have a choice. They don't have nowhere to run. And they are living like that for 70 fucking years. It means that a lot of people there doesn't actually remember how it's like to be free anymore. You know? People are already like being born and being taught since that they are born how to be a commie like that, you know? They don't even know. They are not even aware of how it's not be like that, you know? It's real crazy. Like you cannot even think with their heads the distance, the intellectual distance that has between you and the people in Cuba. It's so humongous. It's so different. The reality is so distant that I cannot put that in words. So how do you expect that people to not be the only one thing that they are told to be since ever, and they don't have access to anything slightly different from that to begin with? How do you expect people to be anything different than that? We are talking about 70 years in the fucking island.
What happens next?
U.S. Southern Command posting this video of the Nimitz carrier strike group on X this Wednesday. Today, the New York Times was the first to report that the strike group will stay in the Caribbean for at least a few.
I know that they flee, like, but you guys forget that a lot of them die. It's something difficult to make. There's a lot of sharks in the water, you know, too. Yeah, too many, by the way. It's not easy. It's really not easy to live there. You know, it's really, really not easy. It's a very difficult task.
2 days as part of the Trump administration's pressure on the Cuban regime to change their government system or face possible military action.
Look, it's a failed country. Everybody knows it. They don't have electricity. They don't have money. They don't have really anything. They don't have food. And we're going to help them along, and we're going to help them because, number one, I want to help them. You know, on a humanitarian basis. But
wait, is that person like, yo, I got a piece of bread? Was that person? Hold on. So you're telling me, guys, in the United States, poor people flash stacks of cash and thinks that we're awful and that America's awful. Meanwhile, in Cuba, they're flashing bread.
Yeah, we are not too much distant in my country. We are flexing meat here. Meat is becoming something not available to poor people. In some states, we have people lined up to get bones. I'm not joking, to get literal bones. You know, leftover bones from meats because people cannot have meat. And people line up in queues to get leftover bones from where the meat was for free because they cannot afford it.
It's like bling bling. I got some fucking bread. You know what I mean?
They don't have money. They don't have really anything. They don't have food.
Oh my God.
And we're going to help them along, and we're going to help them because number one, I want to help them. I don't want to on a humanitarian basis, but
Raul is not a defendant. Raul is our leader, a soldier of dignity, an heir to Fidel Castro, and as long as there is a single Cuban man or woman with a raised fist, that infamy will be repelled.
Here's what I can tell you. Cuba not only has weapons that they've acquired.
Just for you guys to have an idea, some years ago, like this is what I listened from my parents, okay? With one Brazilian real, like 1 BRL, you was able to buy 15 breads. 15 breads. And they were huge, each one of them. Each one of them were really, really, really huge. With 1 BRL, you was able to buy 15 breads. Now, they are so small that even me, like that have, a very small appetite, like I don't eat much. I need to eat 2, sometimes 3 of them. Because they are so small. The bread here is so small now. And like, each one costs like 50 cents, which means like with 1 BRL, you buy only 2 breads now. But it's not a bread like it's used to have the same size of before. Like you need 2 or maybe 3 of these breads to make one of the oldest bread from that time. It's really crazy. So yeah, give it more 2 or 3 years and we will be flexing bread here as well.
From Russia and China over the years. But they also host Russian and Chinese intelligence presence in their country, not far from where we're standing right now.
Other presidents have looked at this for 50, 60 years doing something, and it looks like
I mean, the ones that
does
can afford, of course.
The CIA director was in
Previous
Havana
Cuban?
recently, and
Yeah,
look
I
who he
know.
brought. He brought with him one of the leaders of the raid that captured Venezuela's dictator. And what nobody's talking about is, although it's clear another extraction operation is definitely on the table, this could all be a smokescreen for something else. After all, we've been hearing for months about how Cuba's island is on the verge of a total collapse. In fact, things are so bad, the communists recently capitulated, agreeing to accept a $100 million aid package courtesy of the United States, which they promised they would never do because of one condition in that package, which might collapse their entire regime without firing a shot, especially if their leaders vanish at the exact same time. So this aid package, the Cuban government is not allowed to touch it. They're not allowed to distribute it. It has to be given to private organizations within Cuba like the Catholic Church, and they're the ones that are gonna feed and help the Cuban people. Which means for the first time in decades, someone else will be the visible source of sustenance for a population that lacks it. And that source will not be the
You see, MNSC, how you will not have people defend the government when the government is the only source of food of these people. It's not only that they have been taught their entire existence by this point already after all 70 years, that the government is the most amazing thing that they have, but also is the government that is keeping them alive. How how you change the people's thought. I mean, even the ones that actually doesn't believe that, they need to keep telling when they are asked. They need to keep yelling that they are in favor of the marvelous, amazing government, even though they are not. Because otherwise they will die. Just by not receiving food.
Despotic government that rules over this island or their radical military, both of which are scrambling right now because the problem with communism is that any power structure that...
Come on, you know it doesn't work like that, MNC. I mean, probably you don't know, right? Probably you don't know. I know that because my country, this type of stuff happens already. Everything you try to do to yourself, the government makes it a crime. You cannot produce eggs by your own here anymore. It needs a lot of seals and a lot of seals of approvals and papers and etc. to allow you to have eggs, literal eggs to eat. You know, you cannot have your own fish. Fish is prohibited if you create your own fish in your home. The government also marginalized you for that. It makes you a crime to raise your own fish. You know, in a sustainable way that it feeds itself, so you can raise like endless fish without wasting nothing. So yeah, government made that a crime too. You cannot have solar energy because government not only made a lot of rules for that, but it also taxates you for having it. You know. So these are examples that I'm telling you that you cannot live by yourself. And you may think, oh, I will go to countryside that the government will not find. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work. The government finds you. The government always finds you.
Benefits. The people is a challenge, and once a challenge...
If it's that bad where you live, why not move out? Oh God. That's exactly what I'm doing. Eminency, that's exactly what I'm doing. Maybe you don't watch my channel too often, right? I mean, you would know that because I talk about that very often. I prepare my documents to leave because living here is the only solution.
Oh, I have a question.
I'm leaving my country.
Aren't they like an island?
Because it's terrible, as I'm saying.
Aren't there like fish in those waters? Like, I don't know. I'm asking like the real questions here. Like,
challenge to the communist status quo pops up, the regime immediately starts...
And tigers work? Yeah, fucking eat them, you know? I don't know, man.
...to lose total control. And if a religious organization, a private business...
Oh, they don't know how. All right, fair enough.
...or an opposition political party succeeds in anything the people view favorably, the pieces are in place for regime implosion. And that brings us to the real reason aircraft carriers are now parked right in front of Havana and why the CIA director just brought the people that were involved in the Maduro raid to meet the Cuban government. This is a direct challenge to the legitimacy of that government.
But see, the only reason though that they're starving, guys, is because of the fucking capitalists. Because the capitalists aren't allowing communism to work the proper way that it was intended, you know?
Oh my God.
Everybody knows that, right?
And this is something no U.S. president has ever done before. And if an all-powerful justice system swoops in at 2 o'clock in the morning and holds...
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Stud Muffin Top for 10 gifted subs. Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Their former dictator accountable for crimes.
That
right there takes a sledgehammer to the crumbling foundation of this dictatorship, which has imprisoned its population for decades, trapping them in a cycle of poverty there's no escape from. Now, this doesn't eliminate the idea of an invasion of Cuba. This doesn't mean there will not be strikes against their military. Those things could all happen, but listen to the president explain why the aircraft carriers are so important.
Regarding Cuba, there was an aircraft carrier that just arrived there this week, the Nimitz aircraft carrier. Are you sending that there to intimidate the Cuban government?
No, not at all. The Cuba, look, it's a failed country. Everybody knows that they don't have electricity, they don't have money, they don't have really anything, they don't have food. and we're going to help them along, and we're going to help them because number one, I want to help them, and I want to on a humanitarian.
By the way, I will be calling them tomorrow to see if my new birth certificate is ready, so I can go get that. They told me to call to them before I set a amount of days, and it's on the day tomorrow. I will call him to see if it's ready. If it's ready, I will not be doing a stream tomorrow. I mean, actually, I would be editing tomorrow. I mean today because it's already midnight. But if the document is ready, I will go get there. And I will go to the next steps. Yeah, I had a huge problem that delayed me a lot. That was with my birth certificate, but it sees that I'll be solving this now. It's time.
Basis, but we have the Cuban American population, much of it living in Miami and Florida.
No, it's not about changing the name. It's a rule. I needed to renew it in order to proceed with the documentation stuff. It's just rules. I still have my old one and everything, but rules are rules, right? You need to do that in order to move out to do the documentation there when I arrived there.
That's a great group of people, amazing group of people, industrious, they're great Americans. They've wanted this to happen. They want to go back to their country. They want to help their country. I hope they're going to stay here, but they want to go back. They want to invest in their country and, see if they can bring it back.
So here's the question the carrier answers. How do you help the Cuban people who are trapped in their country?
The leaflet is trying to do me a job scare. She teleported behind me.
Cannot leave, cannot get food, cannot get help. How do you help them if the regime in charge of that island has total power over them? Well, you bring in the aid and you bring in the carriers to watch and see what happens. This is accountability 101, something Cuba's leading.
Dude, that's like so scary to them, especially what just happened to Maduro. It's like, dude, they could freaking get his ass and they can deploy the fucking space marines at any time. You know what I mean?
Leaders have never faced before. Certainly not from the Russians, who are all too happy to use their little island 90 miles south of Florida to project power and try to influence and mess with the United States.
Okay, now you guys can see her
they don't care
too.
about accountability. But President Trump's different. He's not trying to shake hands with this regime and appease them like President Obama did in his eerily Chamberlain-esque style just a few years ago, attempting to normalize relations with a regime that's anything but normal and harbors hostile intent towards everyone around them. And now the idea that the people running this country could face justice for crimes they have committed is a signal that everybody in Cuba better shape up fast, and they better start working with the United States to save their own people from the humanitarian disaster communism has created. But that's not the only disaster Cuba has brought to bear in our hemisphere.
Here's what I can tell you. Cuba not only has weapons that they've acquired from Russia and China over the years, but they also host Russian and Chinese intelligence presence in their country, not far from where we're standing right now.
Mm-hmm.
So Cuba's always posed a national security threat to the United States.
Why would we want?
So what we are waiting for then, huh? What you guys are waiting for? If even the interests of United States are involved in this, and sovereignty and security, all of the stuff, why are you waiting for so long? It makes me want. I mean, of course, they always have hidden interests in all of this. Of course, there's always has probably United States has a lot of interest in going there now as well. But I mean, why taking so long? Why take so? Everyone sees that, and for quite a long time. So why now? Why now? But to be honest, it doesn't actually fucking matter. The thing is that it's happening, and something has to change there. I don't know if it's gonna be good or not. But to be honest, they are so down in the bottom that anything new, anything different might end up being better, to be honest.
After one of the leading sponsors of terrorism.
It gotta start somewhere, right? It gotta start somewhere.
In the entire region. You look at the groups that work out of Colombia that have destabilized that country over the years.
dude, it's actually unreal to me, like, how cucked America is. Like, am I the only one that thinks this? It's like, dude, like, the whole world expects so much bullshit for us to put up with when, like, we don't have to do any of that. Right? Like, it's so annoying.
With full
Thank you,
support
Shago,
from
for
this
the sub.
regime
Thank
over
you.
there. So Cuba's consistently posed a threat to the national security of the United States. And the other thing that poses a threat to the national security of the United States is to have a failed state 90 miles from our shores run by friends of our adversaries.
And the reason that's a problem, not just for the United States, as you heard, but for other countries in South America. Cuba is bad news for our entire hemisphere. They are a safety and security risk for multiple countries.
I wish I could tell more stuff about it, but it's really dangerous for me to mention. But Cuba is involved with my country and Venezuela a lot, and Colombia. Like, oh god.
Especially us, because
I'm
they
not
are
saying more.
essentially a home base for our enemies,
Yeah,
right on our
exactly.
doorstep, as they have always been. That's the one thing they've traded for their free oil and free support. But while you see all these U.S. carriers and you look at the successful Operation Epic Fury happening in Iran, there are some people who think that even in the face of the might
The problem I have with this, by the way, is that, like, we're in a pretty good position right now. Like, we're pretty strong. Like, just be real, right? Like, we're really powerful compared to, like, our enemies right now.
Yeah, she's not wrong. Like, United States is and always was the most strong. But be honest, like what Biden did in his government decreased US power a lot. I still think that the US is the strongest around, of course. For me, all the China and Russia talking and Iran, you can even put Iran together. Like, it's all bullshit. Like, if you sum the three of them together and you put US against them, and they know that, why do you think that they didn't try anything? They are fucking terrorist communist countries. That commits genocides like since ages. Why do you think that they never tried anything yet about United States? Just because of the nuclear weapons? Of course not. It's not only that, because United States is still superior with their military in everything. Even if they are awesome together, they can't win. You know. And even after, like, Biden have decreased the military force, the strength of United States a lot. Oh my God, Biden put so much effort in destroying United States in his government. I never saw a country destruction going so fast, even if compared with my own. In what like happened in Biden's government, you know. Really, it was real fast.
You know, why would we not take advantage of it? Like, I feel like
yeah, Zemenesi, they do things indirectly because it's the only thing, the only way they can do things. Because they cannot win directly. That's the only reason. Because they don't fucking care about the impact or anything. The only thing in the heads is if we do this, we win or not. And they know they don't. So that's why they do everything to destroy, to implode their enemies indirectly. With things like that, because they are stronger. In that aspect, they are stronger than US. And you can see that just by looking at US today. The US is fighting itself every single day now. Wokes everywhere, feminism, all this bullshit. Like, of course, like, I'm not saying that this is not particularly unique, like only to US, but to a lot of other countries. But the US is the come on, this is damaging US more than all the others around, you know. And these countries like Russia and China, they don't give a shit to that. You know, this is only destroying and mining US power itself. You know, your entire states now are becoming like some kind of parallel countries inside of it. One more woke and terrible and self-destructive than the other.
I'm crazy for saying this. Like, why wouldn't we do that? If we have enemies on our doorstep like this and they're using it as a base, they're using it as a base to spy on us and commit all the and do all these operations, why would we allow it? I don't understand. Because the rest of the world's gonna be mad at us? Who gives a fuck?
Leaflet mod is so cute.
Like,
who cares?
Who cares really? Let them be pissed. That's all they do anyway. Like the UN just gets pissed at us all the time. So it's like, who cares? Not only do they get pissed at us all the time, they suck off all of these regimes that are obviously fucked up. Like, why should we care what they say? Fuck them.
Exactly. Why you keep listening? Is exactly what I was saying. We know that they are the responsibles of the decrease of the power of the United States. We know that the country is being imploded right now. Why we keep allowing these people? Why you guys keep allowing these people to do that to your country? You know, that's really insane. You guys better getting weapons while you guys can, because trust me, your weapons will be removed. You guys can tell that pretty much. They are trying to do that for quite a long time. And slowly they are succeeding. Don't think that they are not. Because they are. You know? And once they remove your weapons, your chance to have weapons, you're gonna see a very fast, ultra fast decline in U.S. state.
The revitalized U.S. military under President Trump, that Cuba has an ace up its sleeve that could totally wipe out any offensive capability the U.S. has by devastating our economy. And some people say this is why we should leave Cuba alone and just let them continue being a regime.
Reports of a potential threat to our nation from Cuba. Axios is reporting the communist island nation is buying attack drones from Russia.
Look how fucking close that is, man. What the hell?
And Iran. So far, some 300 drones. And the communist government of Cuba recently began discussing plans to potentially use those drones to attack U.S. targets, including Guantanamo Bay and possibly Key West, Florida. Here's retired Navy SEAL Mike Sorelli.
So before we get into the analysis of this drone threat, you've got to understand something. The idea that something could be launched at the United States from Cuba is not a new idea. And there are things that fly faster than drones, further than drones, and are harder to stop, which Cuba has had access to for quite some time. So the idea of a threat against the continental United States has always been there, but now that it's drones, some people are looking at that and saying, oh, see, Trump is getting our country into another big problem. Trump can't stop the drones. It's over because they're a new thing. But listen to this.
The drones are concerning one sourced by both Russia and Iran. Would Cuba make the fundamental mistake of attacking the United States? It would be their doom. For Cuba, what Trump has done is put them into a position where this regime can fall without a shot fired.
Oh.
We saw Maduro and Venezuela go down. Now Iran, another source of financing and material support for Cuba. They are isolated. The best scenario for them is to play ball, or they will lose this regime.
Wow. So this former Navy SEAL says, look, these drones, not a...
I study muffin top. The thing that really scares me right now is the currently government's push for AI-driven mass surveillance. Like, yeah, I comment this a lot here. Like, that actually, that scares me a lot too, because there is no way for you to run. Like, all you have identifying yourself, like, or you identify yourself, or you're not use the internet. You will not do transactions. You will not access your bank. You know, you will not like access your money. You cannot do, like it will totally make impossible your life if you don't agree in showing your fucking face and your fucking ID everywhere. It's real crazy. It's real crazy. And of course, I cannot stop thinking about Revelation every time I remember this.
Big deal. They're out there, yes.
The power, not only this, but also the power that the payment processors hold right now that are superior to government's powers out there.
Are they concerning? Yes, but they're not something the United States is going to be easily defeated by. And if the Cuban government launches any sort of attack whatsoever, it's...
Americans got bans from banks and airplanes for wrong thinking, like Nick Fuentes. Oh my God, man. Real
It's
insane.
going to be the immediate end of their regime, and it's going to happen faster for them and be worse for them unless they just decide to play ball. They should play ball with the
We have one guy here that, by the way, is living in US. He's living as a refused. His name is Monarch. And the guy was totally deleted out of internet digitally by my country. Like, not only my country, but a lot of corpus online adhered like to the government demands, and the guy literally cannot exist online. So the guy became an alcoholic in US, and he lives like a I forgot the name, that person that lives on the streets, like, oh, I forgot the name. You guys know. I was talking about that other day with you guys. So yeah, homeless. Yeah, the guy's living like a homeless inside a car. You know.
United States.
Like,
There's
why would we let the drone swarms, like them having no drone
That's
swarms
not
yet?
a joke.
Yeah, but why would we let that get to that point? You know what I mean? Like, why would we let anyone tech up to the point that they could beat us? This is why, by the way, I'm very pro military spending. There's like a lot of people that are like, oh, but like, you know, we could be spending that money on.
You do not understand, eminency. The guy, Monarch cannot have anything. He cannot have bank accounts. He cannot have a life. Like, for what I know, the money that he has, it's crypto or something. I know nothing much about him because you cannot find much information about him anymore already online, it seems. Most people are afraid, even me, like I'm talking that to you guys here, but I'm afraid, like, because we cannot even talk about him. Like, we can't talk about him here.
On illegal immigrants and on homeless people and for welfare. No, we need the military spending because we need to be on the top forever. Right? And this is why I'm very pro military spending. I don't understand why we would let our enemies catch up. It doesn't make any sense. Like, we're talking about an existential problem where us being more powerful keeps us existing. Really, this isn't like a small issue. This isn't like, oh, we're going to be a little bit inconvenienced, like tariffs or something like that. This is like, if we let them tech up to the point that they beat us, they could blow us up. It's like completely, they could take us over. That's like completely different. Right? So I just don't know why we should play.
What she's saying is right, by the way, okay? What she say right here, right now, it's right. At the moment, but I would say that in that aspect, like, for example, in the moment that they see that they weakened the US, like, enough, US will just disappear from one day to another because you see, like, an unprecedented attack from all these coalition of countries that want to destroy US, like, for example, China, Russia, and many others, that will launch a devastating attack over US, like, from one day to another. I don't doubt that this can happen. And they just want to know one thing. We will succeed if we do that now, or we will not. And the moment that US is weakened enough to do that, they will do that. It will happen in one instant.
We should play friendly with people and actually try to do business and help people that are actually so hostile to us. This doesn't make
Yes, Eminency, unless they have some real crazy Karen behind those buttons that will refuse to obey an order of a superior to press that because she's fearing to nuke them up because, oh, they are, you cannot do this with immigrants, you cannot do this just because they are Chinese and Russian, and she doesn't press the fucking button. You see how dangerous this is? Like, and don't tell that I'm going crazy because we've seen that happening with helicopters and airplanes already, like women refusing like commands from people and end up like killing herself and everyone inside the planes,
make any sense to me at all.
Should be a peaceful transition.
This is just a small example that I could figure right away, but you can elevate to every other place, every other fucking thing that you can think of, The thing is that a lot of women are holding a lot of positions of power in many places, include the government and companies and very hierarchical structures of power. And they all have this kind of weird thoughts in their minds, and they will not oppose an attack of them. Like, don't count on that, you know? Like, yes, you have the power there. The power will still be there, but they will use the power when it's needed. That's what you're gonna ask yourself.
Here, if this government decides to rise up and fight back and do things to its own people and to try to hurt people in other countries, the end will not be good for them. What does that look like? Does it look like boots on the ground? Does it look like strikes in Havana against military?
Guys, I know no one likes to listen to this, but what I'm saying is truth. It can happen. It can happen. It can reach the level that this becomes real. You know, I know you don't want to believe on that. Like, of course, it's not easy to think that this can happen to your country just because there's a lot of ideological bitches inside positions like that. But yeah, keep allowing them to reach these positions and you'll see it. Exactly, psychorinks. Suicidal empathy, exactly.
Targets? Who knows?
It's already happening anyway. Like, you see, like, even in countries like UK, for example, where there's a lot of immigrants, like, doing unsolicited penetrations in women on the street in groups, you know, to not say the other words. Doing that with women there, and even that, like, the number of, like, unsolicited penetration, like forced penetrations happening in UK, it's increasing like 500%. Women are still in favor of immigrants that are doing that to them. Again, another example of suicidal empathy. It's happening here at a so absurd level there. Why do you think it would be different in U.S.?
It hasn't happened yet. We really don't know if their threat would even get through a U.S. naval armada that has counter.
I'm very much a peace through strength person. Like, it's the only language that it's the only universal language. Lots and lots of guns is the only universal language that
yeah,
it's the final communication between anybody.
Measures against these things. And here's how we know the drone threat is being blown way out of proportion.
It's hard to believe that even the 300 drones that they have, and I've actually seen pictures of what they look like, would have the capabilities of penetrating our air defense and actually hitting sovereign American territory. However, it's something you have to take seriously.
It's popular everywhere.
You know that they have, and there's reports that Iranian, people have come to the country and are teaching them on their technology and how it succeeded in Iran.
Communism has to be considered a crime. Like, for me, it should be punished with death sentence. I'm sorry, but I cannot have, like, that person risk leaving jail and become a president of a country. I'm not saying that this is what happened here, by the way.
In trying to maintain control of Hormuz and strike U.S. bases. So they're collaborating with our enemies. And they've been collaborating with our enemies, whether it's China or Russia, for decades. Remember that Russia taught...
You know what's a really crazy thought, though? Is we haven't had really a war to the point where people have brought out maximum technology. Like, whatever we have and whatever we're showing... You know, like the things that we did in Venezuela, for instance, where we just dropped a bunch of dudes in and then AoE'd their entire base with, like, some kind of weapon that just casted hold person on the entire base. Like, that sounds like some crazy alien shit, and that's not even, like, that can't even be close to, like, underneath the water of the iceberg of what we have. Like, if we're willing to show that, if we're willing to, like, actually show people that we have that, there's no fucking way that we even care about it. Right? There's no way that technology is crazy enough for us to even care about.
Cubans, how to...
And we haven't seen, like, a war in which that ever happened since, like, I guess World War II, really, right?
China or Russia for decades. Remember that Russia taught Cubans how to spy through KGB training, and that China has been using Cuba as a spy base just 90 miles away. So none of this makes us feel good, and I think Secretary Rubio and his team have done an excellent job.
So this is the former mayor of Miami, and he did say a lot here, but the drones aren't the thing we should be worried about. The thing that we should be worried about in America is a home base for America's enemies, right on its doorstep. And that's the same problem that Cuba has always posed to our country. This is the
When I was a teenager, I remember having learned in school from a teacher. That I remember have learned from in the school for a teacher that the U.S. and it was what 8 years, maybe 9 years ago. No, I was too young. No, I think it was 7 years ago. I'm not sure. I remember that a teacher of mine saying that the technology that that we see in US and that is also like the technology that we see in US is already outdated. That we see people using US is already outdated to what they actually have, and what is sent to us, what it's sold to us here, is actually already also outdated to what they have there. Like even more than what US citizens have there. Like I was being teacher that on school. Like that's the lab. That's something that I learned on school. Even though schools here are terrible, but I think that he wasn't wrong in that one.
the same power projection base they've always given
Thank you,
countries
Ryan.
like Russia, who are not our friends
Thank you
on
for
the
the
world.
1,000. We need to say the hegemon of the world. We need to. I mean, who else, right? I mean, like I don't know about you guys, but like if I'm ever in a situation in which I could possibly be attacked by people and I'm surrounded by people I'm not friendly with, I want the biggest gun in the room.
Yeah.
And preferably it's
Me
like not
too.
even that fair. Like preferably it's like I have a Gundam and they have a gun. You know, that's the kind of odds I like, you know?
Stage what
That's the best. That's the best defense that's the best type of defense that anyone can have. You know that there is no way. You can be all built up. You can be strong. You can be whatever they were. Like I see that happen a lot here in my country. You have these big, big builded guys that are strong, and they might be in some of these drugs to make them bigger, etc. And they are usually so pissed off because I'm the guy, I'm blah blah blah, and say stuff like that all the time, And then it's very common here. Comes a skinny guy, robs his smartphone, and gunshots him to death. Like a very skinny guy with half of his size, very skinny, with a big shirt or no shirts at all, puts points out a revolver or something and gunshots him to death and robs his smartphone. Yay! So strong. Wow, so amazing. It's so important to be strong nowadays.
so ever
What is important is you having a gun and your enemy. In the worst situation, have one too, but in the best ones, like you have one and they have none.
that's the threat going on here. And then we find out that the same people running this island are causing mayhem all over Central and South America, destabilizing other countries, teaming up with cartels and gangs like they were doing in Venezuela.
The best security system that ever has. Like, if everyone has a weapon, no one is gonna need to use it. Because everyone will know that everyone has a weapon.
With Maduro. You can't have a failed state that benefits off crime and corruption and commits crime itself and just...
Like, dude, sorry, I know I'm pausing again, but I just feel so like sometimes I feel like I'm living in clown world because it just seems so obvious to me, so basic to me. Like, why do I care about I'm just being real. Why do I care about everyone else in comparison to my country? Does that make sense? And it might sound a little bit harsh, but like, I'm just being real. Like, everyone else in the world is not my problem. It's just not.
I understand your points. I think if I were to live in US, I would think exactly as you guys think. As I saw, like, for example, many comments on X saying like, oh, why we keep interfering in other countries, and why we just don't take care of our own, why the government is doing things in Venezuela, in Cuba, in Iran, like blah blah blah, just don't give a shit to them, let them do what they want. Because it's because of a very simple thing. It's not a problem for you guys now. You give them enough time and let them do what they want, and on the very near future they will become a problem to you. And would be probably worse than stopping the problem now. It is what it is. It is what it is. Will you do things now, or it will be worse later?
It's just not my problem. And it's like, if they're going to be friendly with us, and they're going to be like, oh, well, you know, we really like you, America, and, you know, we have a lot to offer you as well.
And by the way, like, you do nothing to them, and they will start to passively, way before you realize that, passively infiltrate to destroy your country, like China and many other countries are usually doing with US, by the way, and it's working pretty much well. Pretty much well. So yeah, keep not caring about that. No, Leaflet, I think you're wrong on this one, okay? I'm sorry, I'm not with you on this one. You keep ignoring them and let them do what they want and they destroy you.
Let's work together, because we got skills, you got skills, like we can make something.
You better try to make them be your allies and make sure you stay vigilant. Like you make them your allies, but you keep vigilance on them, you know? Making sure that they are actually your allies. And you try to somehow make things that will make you and also the other country better, like benefiting both. So people there hopefully will become eventually less stupid. I mean, I know that's difficult. The thing is, guys, the reality is that 92% of people will never be smart. They will. And I'm not saying like is smart like Einstein. I'm saying like, I don't know, 100 IQ. You know, it feels like most people are really, in fact, indeed really retarded. This is the conclusion I reached. So and they will not learn. It doesn't matter how much like you try to explain to them, like and you try to, you will not reach these people. They would just not change their minds. You know, it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter if you paint that if you draw to them and show to them, they will not like. Oh my God, man! I don't know what to say.
We can make something great, something beautiful. Then like, sure, right? But like, if they don't like us, they want us to be destroyed, why the fuck do I care about them? I'm just being real. Like, why do I care? Why do I care about aid packages? Why do I care about giving them money to placate them? I just don't give a fuck.
Yeah, it's again, it's even worse when they don't like you, because they can't do anything about you now. But they will do, you know, they will always be conspirating and doing things behind your back and corrupt people inside your country in positions of power and start to placing people there and brainwashing your people through social media and internet using bots and everything. And sooner or later, your power will be decreasing and they will attack. They will form alliances with a lot of bullshit that only are existing and growing now because you allowed them to, you know, and they will get bigger and stronger and they will come for you. Sooner or later, they will come for you. So no, you eliminate the threat now. You make sure that they will not be a threat for you now and on the near future.
Look, like, why are we sucking them off so hard? It just doesn't make any sense to me at all.
Let that stand. That's bad for everybody. That is bad for the law abiding. That is bad for people who want to get ahead in life. And that.
Lipit's not saying ignore them. She's saying we should not give them aid. It depends. But this is what I'm saying. It depends on which kind of aid. Like, for example, she talk like they shouldn't be doing, like, for example, what they did with Maduro. That was aid, indeed. That was aid. Okay? That was a fucking huge threat eliminated. You know? Do you think that that country will heal itself? By the way, Maduro peers are still there making havoc and trying to hold the power. You know, that's why there is a plan for that and not just taking off Maduro out. Like, there's a whole plan for the country. Because they knew that this would happen, you know? It's like, it's literally like a cancer. You need to pass through a longer routine of checkups and exams and you know, and cancer treatment. And, you know, and you have some collateral effects. You're losing hair, you know, and stuff like that. And you will vomit. And, you know, I'm literally comparing with cancer. It is a cancer. So why I'm saying, like, it will be bad at first to the country. It will hurt to people. People will need to get adapted to that. You know, they will need to get the other peers that were parts of the government, that are parts of the militia and stuff like that. They will need to get rid of that people too. You know, they need an economic plan. They need investment from outside to private investment to infrastructures, because they don't have enough anymore, because the communists corroded, rotted everything out and spent all the resources that they could, made huge infinite debts, you know. It's literally cancer. So they wouldn't heal themselves alone. They needed aid. They needed support, you know. And that's what United States gave, yeah. And also by feeding, don't forget that giving aid to other people also, like helps people to be in your favor and against the government. And that was important for them to, for example, to do such an operation like that. You start to, what you think in a culture that is hungry, but everyone is in difficulty, the boots of a dictator, and they are, you know, literally eating garbage, like real garbage. I'm not saying, it's not a way of saying. There are videos on the internet of them literally looking for food in garbage, like a lot of them, because there is nothing to eat, you know? And they looking for food in garbage. And how do you think that they would feel like if people people start to receive food by airplanes or something coming from US, for example, and you know what? That's not even the best part. Imagine when that food is cut by the government, by your own government that doesn't want to receive, doesn't want to allow your people to receive food in a situation like that, because it's food coming from the US. Don't you think that the government would, like, totally oppose, start to hate and oppose and want to dethrone and want the death of the tyrant? Huh? So yeah, aid in them is very important to heal and remove these plagues out of existence, these cancers, you know. So no, I'm still against it. Be it we're talking about literal actual aid, like giving food to people, help them out, because not only this softens the appearance of the country that is always being demonized by the dictator inside there, like it changed the image and make them start to think like that maybe the government is lying to them, you know? And it's even better when the government sees that as a threat and decides to eliminate the source of the food. You know, don't allow the people to receive the food from there anymore. The people know that. The people will realize, like, why you're doing this to us? We're starving. You don't allow them to give us food anymore. And then what do you think it's gonna happen? So no, aid is really important. And it's like I said, if you leave them alone doing what they want, they will come back to bite your butt.
That's very bad for people on Cuba, on that island who can't do any of that stuff.
My father, of course, was the first Cuban mayor of Miami. My father was the first Cuban mayor of Miami. His father was jailed by
Even
Castro.
our allies constantly insult America, demanding we fix their problems. You mean like Europe? Yeah, well, the problem is we let them do it. Like, do you really think that Europe would be disrespecting us if we showed that we had any sort of fucking balls? Like, I'm just being real. Like, I don't want to be enemies with Europe. I would prefer to have a friendly relationship with all of our countries that are allies with us. Obviously. But it's like, you gotta tell them, like, listen, man. You can't just keep talking shit or you're gonna get hit.
No. What was happening here, Study Muffin, is that, like, oh my god, I really want to avoid to talk about this stuff because it involves my country on it. But people were sending resources to my country to send to them. And the resources were going to through the roads, through there, crossing the roads, and were being delivered by our people to them, directly to them, not the regime, you know. Until, of course, the regime decides to not allow that to happen, and it happened quite fast. At the moment that regime realized that this was happening, they rapidly prohibited everything. But they wanted to receive the resources themselves and quote unquote distribute, like what you're saying. But of course, no one believed in that shit, and people just stopped receiving food after that, you know? And that's what happens.
You can't just keep taking advantage. Exactly.
Mayor of Miami. My father was the first Cuban mayor.
And dude, believe me, I feel terrible for everyone in Europe because it is so fucking bad right there. It is so bad there right now. Like, in terms of, like, the government overreach and, like...
Eminency. We are not even terrible as the situation of... I mean, we're so terrible here already, but we are not as terrible as Cuba or Venezuela. And people here are already claiming, begging for U.S. help. You have no freaking idea of how much people want that. How many people want that. Oh my god, I cannot tell you. I will not touch this matter anymore. I can't.
Them being able to throw you in jail just because, like, you said something about some illegal immigrant, dude, or some refugee, dude, it's fucking awful. And I feel really bad for Europe. And, like, I really don't want Europe to be like that because I would prefer to have good allies. I'd prefer to have strong allies. But if people are gonna just talk shit and, you know, side with China and Russia over us, then, like, okay, well, then go fuck them then. Like, I don't understand, like, why we would sit in the cuck chair and then let...
Yeah, I know that stuff, but what I say, like, the resources were being delivered directly to people, not to military soldiers or paramilitary soldiers, you know, a militia. It was being delivered directly to people, not to them. They wanted to receive the resources and they themselves distribute, but that's not what was happened. And so they prohibited them to cross the borders to give food to people because what they wanted is to have all the food to themselves, you know? And everyone realized that, you know? We are not stupid.
Let them be like, yeah, but, like, America is so bad, unlike Iran. Like, what? Get the fuck out of here.
Mayor of Miami, his father was jailed by Castro. So we have a long history of opposing the Castro regime and the communist regimes. Why? Because we understand fundamentally that it does absolutely...
Seems our only friend is Israel, even though they too have their own problem. Yeah, I mean, Israel fucks with us too, but at least it's not, like, in the open. Like, let's be real, guys. Like, as much as, like, we say that Israel fucks around, let's be real. Everybody fucks around with us. Everybody's fucking around with us.
That's really true. The list of countries that is fuck around with the US is quite huge.
Right? Yeah, and Japan is chill with us. Yeah, I mean, obviously, right? Japan's been pretty chill with us. There are a bunch of countries that are chill with us. Like, I think, is it? I think Poland is pretty chill with us. Isn't Poland pretty chill with us? I mean, we're pretty chill with, like, Argentina right now because of Milei, Bukele. We're pretty chill with him too. We're pretty chill with a bunch of countries. But it's just all of our so-called allies fuck around with us all the time. Obviously, whether that's spying on us. I mean, we do the same thing to them. To be like completely honest, we're doing that to each other, right? But in terms of like the signaling, like the kind of chastising. I mean, I guess Israel does do it less than Europe. Europe's always talking shit about us, right? So it's kind of
nothing for the Cuban people. The per capita income of Cubans is $5,000 a year. Of course,
and guys, again, I get it. Israel fucks around with us. Everybody knows this. I don't think I have to say it that much.
What we've seen in the Cuban diaspora and the exile community in Miami is a community that's thriving. Miami has the lowest unemployment in America, the highest median wage growth in America. So what's happening?
Sorry, one more thing I have to say though. If I had to pick a side between like Israel and like death to America, pretty sure I'm gonna pick Israel. I'm just saying. But that doesn't mean that they don't fuck around with us. They're both true simultaneously, right? And the problem is like.
To be honest, can I be very honest? I don't even know anymore. I honestly don't know anymore. The more I know too little about them yet, but the more I know, man. But when you think about China, for example, the amount of people that already were murdered by their hands for all this time, the fucking genocide that they done. But if you think about that too, oh my god, I don't want to mention their names because yeah, it's really complicated. But the people behind behind all the bullshit in US, for example, they are the ones behind feminism, for example, and feminism kills like feminism also committed a huge genocide already too, like China, and in a little in just in a small amount of time, in a small window of time, like a small time frame, women committed a huge genocide, like China, like did over too many more years, So yeah, I really don't know. At least China is more honest about being a piece of shit. It's all clear, They don't hide anything. Everyone fucking knows that. They don't give a shit. They don't give a shit. While the other side, it's always hidden in the shadows, holds so much power, all hidden, all passively, all happening through structures, through power, through corruption, and all of that crap. And these are the ones that are inside the US ruling right now.
We always have this issue where it's either one or the other. It's either 100% fuck Israel in every single case, 100% like pro-Palestine in every case. It's never like, well, they fuck around with us, but it could be good when they win certain things, obviously. It's like a little bit of both, right? And people have trouble with that for some reason.
We've embraced American exceptionalism.
You know what? This totally blows communism out of the water right here. The fact that
like you have a lot of people, like kind of the older people that are just constantly sucking off Israel, right? Just sucking them off constantly, right? And then you have other people who are like, yeah, actually, I would rather have like I would rather have Hamas win. Like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah, you really make that much difficult when you compare both. It's complicated. It's complicated. I think it's just because one is too much directly, but it's not like the other isn't equal terrible because it's possibly being responsible for a lot of people getting sick and dying and abortion and all of that stuff. So It's really difficult, man. It's so no choice. I would eliminate all of them if I could. With a snap of fingers. All of them. China, Iran. The name it ones that we cannot know because they hold power in everything that we use right here.
Want America to lose in Iran? What? It's freaking... I don't know, man. I just feel like people are retarded on both sides on this issue.
Got the exact same people living 90 miles away from each other, and in one country they're the poorest in the entire world, and in another country they're the most successful in the entire world. I mean, come on.
LGBTQ flags and Palestine flag is peak retarded. It's my favorite.
They all should be prisoners for life. Like, but if there is one thing that I still think it's more urgent is like making communism a crime. It's for me, it should be a death sentence crime, in my opinion. Okay, because it's a terminal disease. Once you get the communism disease, you never get cured.
Actually, did you know that in the Middle East, they're actually more pro-trans?
No. If there is the Communist Act in the U.S., they need to describe that more, so they will be able to fit all the filthy Democrats inside of it and burn all of them together.
In America, actually.
This is like everything you need to know about how Cuba's communist government has failed. And it's not the fault of the people. The people are some of the smartest people on earth. And it's not just that you've got a regime here run by criminals. You've got a regime here run by criminals that has embraced a system that impoverishes its people and keeps them in subjection to that government for their entire lives.
Israel doesn't export or produce anything? Oh, I like the X95. Pretty cool gun. It's not bad. Also olives. They got olives, right? They got olive oil.
I understand.
It's not America's fault that Cuba has failed. It is the fault of communism that Cuba has failed. If Cuba were capital...
That's why I think we don't need a government. Like, the natural law itself works very well. It used it to work before we have governments, by the way. It used it to work.
It would be like Miami, but it's not. And look, if you're better off in another country than in your home country, that's a problem. And as you're about to see, that problem is about to come to...
You love good... Dude,
only working in base of natural law and common sense. Simple and beautiful as that.
I love good olive oil. I buy them local, though. I usually buy olive oil from I buy domestic olive oil. I think it's pretty good, honestly. These people have their moms take Tylenol and while pregnant on purpose. Holy shit.
To an end, as our Secretary of State, who's also a Cuban American, is taking things a step further. Listen to this.
Pero sé que hoy ustedes, quienes llaman a la isla su hogar, atraviesan dificultades inimaginables. Hoy quiero compartirles la verdad sobre el motivo de su sufrimiento y quiero contarles lo que nosotros en los Estados Unidos le ofrecemos para ayudarlos no solo a aliviar la crisis actual, sino también a construir un futuro mejor. La razón por la que se ven obligados a sobrevivir 22 horas al día sin electricidad no se debe a un bloqueo petrolero por parte de Estados Unidos. Como ustedes saben mejor que nadie, llevan años sufriendo de apagones. La verdadera razón por la que no tienen electricidad, combustible ni alimentos es porque quienes controlan su país han saqueado miles de millones de dólares. Pero nada ha sido utilizado para ayudar al pueblo. Hace 30 años, Raúl Castro fundó una empresa llamada Gaesa. Esta empresa es propiedad de las Fuerzas Armadas y está operada por ellos. Y cuenta con ingresos 3 veces superiores al presupuesto de su gobierno actual. Hoy, mientras ustedes sufren, estos empresarios tienen 18 mil millones de dólares.
Look at that. So, you have a communist government that controls its entire population, and it allows one business to exist, which is run by the regime leaders and the military, and that is the entity...
Whoa. Who could imagine that? This is exactly what every fucking dictator, like a utopic dictator commie country does.
Making all the deals, bringing in all the money, controlling everything, enriching itself while everybody else suffers. That's how communism works. The people at the top, they're always in favor They always preach it because you know why? All the money goes to them. It doesn't go to anybody else. And the Secretary of State is reminding people in Cuba.
Can I just say, like, man, like, fucking Obama. Am I right, guys? Am I right, though?
That, hey, despite the propaganda from your leaders that says that, hey, all of your hardships are the fault of the United States. I mean, you know you've had these blackouts for years.
If Michael Rubio was like was a candidate for the right wing, I would vote on him. Definitely, I would vote on him.
There have been uprisings in Cuba many,
if I could vote there, of course.
many times, and they have never been successful. Food has.
I mean, of course, I would vote in anyone from the Republican side because the Democrat is just impossible. So it doesn't actually matter. It doesn't actually matter. But the fact is that I know, and most of the true brain cells people know that the ones that are in Republican side are not that good either lately. But I mean, you have Dan and you have whatever else is in the Democrat side. The choice is easy. The choice is always easy. But even so, it's like I say, majority of people are stupid. So I don't doubt that people will vote like Democrat this time because people are just fucking dumb.
There's always been a problem in Cuba. Why? Because the system they have there does not allow them to buy food. The system they had there relied on free oil from Venezuela. The system they had there relied on being a base where the Russians could project power in our hemisphere in exchange for keeping these guys afloat and giving them a perpetual lifeline. Well, now that lifeline is over.
$8 mil millones de dólares obtienen ganancias de hoteles, construcciones, bancos, tiendas y incluso del dinero que sus familiares le envían desde Estados Unidos. Todo pasa por sus manos. De esas remesas, ellos retienen un porcentaje, pero de las ganancias de Gaesa, nada llega.
That's terrible.
En vez de usar el dinero para
They're stealing from the relatives.
como todos los otros.
By the way, I gotta tell you guys, I'm halfway up on my grip trainer now. So I started all the way at the bottom, and now I'm like halfway through now. Like, what is this? Like, it's like about 40 now. Yeah.
Países del mundo dependieron del petróleo gratis de Hugo Chávez y Maduro para quedarse con el dinero. Pero ahora que dejó de llegarles el petróleo gratis, ellos compran combustible para sus generadores y sus vehículos. Mientras que el pueblo se les pide que se sacrifique.
That's so sad.
En vez de usar el dinero para mantener y modernizar las centrales eléctricas que están dañadas,
I just do it while I'm
usan el
watching
dinero para
videos with you
construir
guys.
más hoteles para extranjeros y para enviar a sus familiares a vivir con lujos en Madrid y incluso hasta aquí en Estados Unidos.
This is why the fall of Venezuela has been so instrumental in the current situation in Cuba. That regime was part of a regime support network between Cuba.
How they are allowed to even be in US and have like, oh my god, that's the type of thing that really hurts to see. Why they have stuff US? How they are allowed to have stuff US?
Venezuela and Iran, all three of these puppet states of Russia, have been keeping each other afloat, evading sanctions together, fueling each other, spreading corruption together, training with each other. In some cases, you had Iran training people inside areas of Venezuela, for crying out loud. I mean, none of this is a good situation. None of it helped the people of any of these countries. And what did we hear when Biden was president? We heard about how bad things were in Venezuela and how that country was just in such dire straits, and that's why we needed to have an asylum crisis. Well, guess what? The reason things were bad over there is because you have these regimes that were powered up by being allowed to be lawless and send criminals all over our hemisphere doing whatever they wanted while keeping each other afloat monetarily, getting around US. I mean, what a nightmare. That's the situation that we had. We allowed the wrong people to gain a foothold, and what did it do? It did not make the world a better place at all. But now a carrier battle group is parked out in front of Havana.
Yeah,
the
that's so
CIA
cool.
director has made it no secret that regime extraction and replacement could happen at a moment's notice. And this is happening at a time when the people of Cuba are about to get a helping hand from someone other than their government. All of the pieces are in place for things to change peacefully. There does not need to be a military solution here unless the dictators running this place decide that they're not going down without a fight. What do you think is going to happen? I hope peace can come to this island. It's been a long time. People there have been in trouble for a long time. It looks like that could finally end. Let me know. I'll see you in the next video.
Man.
We are now...
Look at that. It's got so much aura. I like the front shot. Hold on.
It's farmy aura. Oh, yeah.
Oh, fuck.
We are now learning a new U.S. aircraft carrier.
Damn, dude. Did you guys know that that shit is more military power? Like right there. Right there. Is more military projection power than like most countries.
Yeah. It has more military power than my country, my entire country. I'm aware of that. We talked about that here many times. Like, no, not here. Like, I'm saying, like, the content creators here in my country made videos talking about it many times, and they laughed a lot mentioning that, like, and comparing to to our army here. Oh my god, it's laughable.
Did you know that like most entire countries, like that shit right there, can take over countries?
One of these can take over the country here. Definitely. Doesn't even need this other ones, to be honest.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. That's crazy. That's real crazy. But the place that they needed to go to conquer, it's not mere ocean, you know? It's way more on the center of the Oh god, I need to stop myself. Before we go any further, I want to take this brief moment here to thank all of you, my patrons, for the incredible support to my work here on YouTube, and especially my 5-tailed fox tier member, the Holy Ball, and all of my 3-tailed fox tier members, Wallony Wolf, Fanny Sylvie, Hit Himself, Zalost, Eustace the Useful, Zealous Isaiah, Mr. NER Ethan, Max Tenor, Nugutino, Avery, TBCI, and TV8. Thank you very much. You guys are amazing. Also thanks to everyone that have been supporting me on Ko-Fi, Kick, and to all of my YouTube members. You can support this channel live and growth with just $5 a month and gain access to many perks. This is less than a burrito. Check out my Patreon. Link is in the description below. And that's it for today, my dear Fox Links. See you guys in the next one. Bye bye.